For as long as cars have existed, one truth seemed unshakable. Engines wear out. No matter how much we maintain them, every piston stroke, every spark, every mile adds to the inevitable decay. Oil loses its edge, metal grinds against metal, and slowly, the heart of a machine begins to fail. For most drivers, this decline is irreversible. Once an engine grows old, its fate is sealed. But what if that wasn't true? What if, hidden in plain sight, there existed a secret, a shocking trick, that could bring engines back to life? A formula so unexpected, so transformative, that even a vehicle on its last breath could roar again with the force of something brand new. This isn't science fiction. This isn't wishful thinking. This is a story that unsettles the very foundations of what we thought we knew about machines. Engines have always been described as ticking clocks. Every rotation, every explosion inside the cylinder is a tiny victory against time. But also a reminder that the countdown never stops. With each drive, tiny scars form. Bearings wear thinner. Oil grows weaker. Heat eats into steel. Corrosion, carbon buildup, metal fatigue. These are not occasional mishaps. They are certainties written into the very laws of physics. From the moment an engine first roars to life, its death has already begun. The automotive world has accepted this with cold resignation. Mechanics repeat it like scripture. Nothing lasts forever. Engineers build with it in mind, balancing performance against inevitable decay. Car companies design around it, timing the lifespan of their engines so that drivers eventually return, wallets open, for the next model. Entire industries thrive on it. Manufacturers of spare parts, dealerships, scrapyards, even oil companies. The slow death of engines is not just expected, it is profitable. And so, we accept the fate of our machines. Every driver knows the feeling, the first cough of a reluctant starter, the first rattle that wasn't there yesterday, the sluggish hesitation as age takes hold. We pour money into repairs, into new parts, into replacements, each effort only delaying the inevitable. But what if all of this was not destiny? What if the steady march toward mechanical death was never truly unbreakable? Because for decades, in shadows and whispers, rumors have persisted. Mechanics swapping stories in cluttered garages, retired engineers dropping hints of lost formulas, drivers telling tales too strange to be believed, whispers of an additive, something poured into the oil that could silence wear, erase scars, and bring dying engines back to life. Most dismissed these as myths, folklore for the mechanically desperate. But every legend is born from a seed of truth. And sometimes that truth refuses to stay buried. It began almost invisibly. No headlines, no announcements, just a quiet pattern. Drivers, ordinary people, reporting extraordinary results. Engines with 100,000 miles should have felt heavy and tired. Instead, they ran smoother than new. Persistent knocks simply vanished. Stubborn fuel consumption suddenly improved. Exhaust fumes thinned. Idling steadied. Vibrations melted away. And to those drivers, something felt uncanny. Wrong, even. Not because the engine had improved, but because it had improved too much. And yet, when they opened the hood, there was no miracle part, no rebuilt system, no shiny replacement. The secret was shockingly simple, an additive, slipped into the oil, no more dramatic than pouring sugar into coffee. But this was no ordinary oil treatment. Some claimed it was born from the aerospace industry, created to protect engines where failure meant catastrophe, where heat and friction had to be conquered at all costs. Others insisted it came from classified military projects, where vehicles had to keep running under punishment no civilian car would ever face. No one agreed on its true origin. But everyone who tested it saw the same thing. Engines that should have been coughing their last breath instead roared back with impossible vitality. What did it actually do? The answer, like all powerful discoveries, lies in the details that corporations would rather remain hidden. Fragments of leaked information revealed a strange truth. This additive worked on a molecular level. Once mixed with engine oil, it bonded with the metal itself, crawling into the microscopic valleys and scars carved into engine parts by years of stress. Imagine looking at an engine surface under a microscope. What seems smooth to the naked eye is actually torn and jagged, filled with tiny grooves where friction eats away. The additive seeps into those wounds and hardens, creating a film tougher than the steel it coats. Surfaces that were once rough become polished, reducing resistance to almost nothing. The results cascade. Less friction means less heat. Less heat means less wear. Less wear means an engine that not only stops aging, but in many ways begins to feel reborn. For the driver, the difference borders on the unreal. The sluggish groan of an old motor fades into a purr. Acceleration sharpens. The gas pedal suddenly feels lighter. Fuel efficiency climbs. The machine doesn't just survive, it thrives. It is almost as if time itself has been reversed. And that raises the question: if such a thing exists, why haven't you heard of it? The reason is simple, and yet disturbing. Not every truth benefits those in power. The automotive world is not just about cars. It is about control, about money, about a cycle that feeds itself endlessly. Planned obsolescence is not a conspiracy theory. It is a business model. Cars are not built to last forever, because forever does not sell. Imagine what would happen if every aging engine could be revived for pennies compared to the cost of rebuilding or replacing. Manufacturers would lose billions. Parts suppliers would collapse. Mechanics would see their work vanish. Entire industries worth trillions, would crumble. Immortality for machines is bad for business. And so, something too effective, too perfect, would never be allowed to spread unchecked. This is why the additive remained hidden. It wasn't announced, marketed, or mass-produced. Instead, it slipped quietly from hand to hand, whispered about, guarded, almost like forbidden knowledge. And yet, despite the silence, stories of its power leaked through the cracks. The legends are everywhere, if you know where to look. There is the story of the man with a 20-year-old truck, certain it would fail inspection. On a whim, he added the formula. He turned the key expecting the same tired rattle, but instead, the engine sprang to life. Steady, smooth, defiant, against time itself. There is the taxi driver who had pushed his car beyond 300,000 miles, his livelihood depending on each day it survived. The additive didn't just keep it alive, it gave him another 100,000 miles of reliable service. To him, it wasn't just chemistry, it was survival. There is the collector restoring a forgotten classic, a car left to rust, its engine choked with age. Instead of dismantling it piece by piece, he used the additive, and the engine, as if remembering its youth, roared back to life. A piece of history was saved. Each story is a rebellion against inevitability. Proof that the supposed destiny of machines is not as fixed as we were told. But if these stories are true, they also expose something far darker. That the world we live in is carefully shaped not by what is possible, but by what is profitable. Breakthroughs that defy the system rarely see the light of day. They slip into obscurity, kept alive by curiosity, by rebellion, by those who refuse to accept the limits imposed upon them. This is not just a story about engines. It is a story about us, about the quiet wars between innovation and suppression, about the knowledge we are allowed to see, and the truths buried because they threaten empires. The uncomfortable truth is this: it was never about whether engines could last forever. It was about whether they were allowed to. And so, we arrive at the revelation. The shocking trick is not magic. It is not folklore. It is a hidden additive. A formula that rewrites the rules of wear and tear. A ghost in the machine that brings the dying back to life. Is it the cure for aging engines? Many who have seen it firsthand believe it is. Is it dangerous to industries built on decay? Without question. And perhaps that is why it was forced into the shadows for so long. But for those who have discovered it, the experience is unforgettable. The sound of an engine long past its prime clearing its throat, steady and strong. The surge of power once thought gone forever. The impossible sensation that time, for once, has been cheated. This is more than a trick for engines. It is a glimpse into a hidden world. A reminder that what we accept as inevitable may only be ignorance. Because if an old, broken engine can be reborn, what else might be possible? Engines are not just machines. They are the beating hearts of journeys, of livelihoods, of memories written mile after mile. And when those hearts fade, it feels like the end of a story. But maybe it isn't the end. Maybe, hidden in plain sight, lies a second chance. A chance to defy inevitability. A chance to make the old feel new again. A chance to bring steel and fire back to life. Because sometimes, the most powerful revolutions don't begin with a new invention. They begin with a secret, a shocking trick that changes everything. If you enjoyed this video, kindly subscribe, share, and comment below.